Welcome, everybody, to episode 10 of Aggressively Speaking. My name's Tony Browski.
I'm Troy Frank. What's up, guys?
Oh, he did
What's
it again.
up, guys?
He did it again.
How are you guys doing?
And welcome back to our podcast. So first of all, before we get this episode started, episode 10 of Aggressively Speaking. It has been 10 episodes.
A decade, guys. It's been a whole-ass decade.
Lovely. So, I just wanted to thank everybody for the support on the first 10 episodes of Aggressively Speaking. We are averaging about 60 to 100 viewers an episode, which I think for the first 10 episodes of our first podcast together, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, John, Troy, thank you guys. This has been a blast so far.
Dude,
Here's
thank
to
you.
the next 10 episodes and
Huzzah.
more. And more. Also, another little programming note. We are now recording on Sunday mornings, and the episodes will be coming out on Monday morning because of a few reasons. First of all, John got upgraded.
Woo!
Yes, sir. Congratulations.
We talking about
John.
this?
I was just going to.
Why not? It's just the intro.
I was just going to mention
New
it.
job. I'll just say that.
New
New
job
job.
for John, and Troy's got a new sleep schedule.
Yes, sir.
What is that new sleep schedule exactly?
When you guys are just getting home from work,
You know, actually,
or
I'll tell you. It's a fucking joke. That's what the sleep schedule is.
it's about 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I am heading off to bed. John was gonna roast my ass, but then he decided against it.
So that's your new sleep schedule.
Yeah,
What was the previous one?
my old one was
7 a.m.?
7 a.m., 8 a.m., around there. Yeah. So when you guys are just getting up, I'm going to bed. Now I'm changing it to when you guys are just getting home, I'm going to bed.
Oh, that's lovely. So, but yeah, because of that, we will now be recording on Sundays, doing a little Monday morning recap in the word of John, and I like that idea. So, but again, thank you guys for the support on the first 10 episodes. But nonetheless, we have a lot to talk about this week, Troy. A lot of juicy NFL talk.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, we are going to start the scouting combine because that was last weekend.
We didn't get a chance to cover it yet.
No, this
So-
is our first time recording.
We're pretty
since-
late.
We're late, but better late than never. So we're
Yep.
going to start with some scouting combine talk. We're going to talk about a potential NFL strike on the horizon, maybe with this new CBA. There is a little stuff happening with that, so we'll talk about the CBA proposal.
And the clusterfuck that is the 49ers offseason. Because they
We're
might
not going to talk about the actual 49ers offseason. We're going to talk about Tom Brady.
Yeah, there's a specific part of that offseason.
Oh,
That is a clusterfuck.
I was about to say, I'm not sure we're doing Bay Area sports here, Troy.
So are they gonna re-sign Garoppolo, or should they
Are they going to sign Raheem Mostert to a long-term deal?
they need to pair somebody with Nick Bosa.
Oh, God. They do. Okay.
Pair somebody
Oh, my God. All right. So, yeah, we're going to talk some NFL football, and then we are going to spend the last segment of today's show doing a little tank talk because all of our teams are tanking in this city, including two teams I'm repping right now. I'm actually going to the Wings game tonight, so
Ooh,
tank mode is in full effect.
tank mode is in full effect, and honestly, I'm here for it.
Well, we know that. We know Troy's into it.
I'm here for it all across the board.
But yeah, we'll talk about that to close out this week's show. But obviously, first of all, Troy, let's start the scouting combine.
All right.
I'm one of those NFL geeks that gets all excited about the scouting combine. On my way to Vegas on the airplane, well, on my way and back, I was watching the scouting combine on the Delta TV. It was pretty sweet.
Ooh, they have it live?
Yeah, like Delta
Dude, Delta's so nice. They got freaking live sports on there, and that's so
live
cool.
TV, movies. Yeah, I was watching the scouting combine there and back. So I was able to watch the scouting combine as everyone else did. And there are a few interesting takeaways, Lions-wise, from the scouting combine. I think my biggest takeaway from this year's scouting combine from a Lions standpoint is that there are 4 elite defensive prospects that if the Lions are able to draft either one of them, I think that would be a home run pick for them. Whether it's Chase Young, who we've talked about numerous times on this show, is probably both our number 1 guys, correct?
Yes, sir.
So Chase Young, Your guy Isaiah Simmons, he's on that board. Jeff Okudah and Derek Brown. If the Lions draft any one of those 4 guys, I think that's a home run pick. I mean, Chase Young, as I mentioned, we've talked numerous times on the show. He's our guy. I think he's every Lions fan guy. He's just what the Lions need right now. Like, when people compare the Lions to the 49ers last year, one of the biggest reasons the 49ers took that flip was because they drafted Nick Bosa. Chase Young would be our Nick Bosa. So that would be a huge addition to the Lions. But let's say they can't get Chase Young. Like, let's say all this smokescreen stuff actually doesn't lead to anything with regards to the Redskins, and they take Chase Young at number 2. Whether the Lions keep number 3 or trade down, if you can land a Jeff Okudah, who I think it was Daniel Jeremiah who said this on the NFL Network broadcast during the scouting combine, but when you compare Jeff Okudah to 2 other recent Ohio State cornerbacks, Marshawn Lattimore and Denzel Ward, Jeffrey Okudah is more NFL ready than Ward and Lattimore were. So Jeff Okudah, he's ready to play now, which especially if the Lions trade Slay, that would be big. But also, I mean, you saw in college with Ohio State, Jeff Okudah is an absolute beast. He is as shutdown can get at the corner position. He doesn't commit penalties. Like, he's a really clean player. He would be a good fit for this Lions team as well. But also, if you look at a guy like your boy Isaiah Simmons, who is just perfect. He's a perfect defensive player in today's NFL. You know, you can play him literally anywhere. He can play at safety, which I feel like if the Lions did draft Simmons, excuse me, I feel like he would be a safety in Patricia's scheme, which that's fine. But he can play safety. He can play linebacker. You can drop him back in coverage. You can send him to rush the passer. You can put him outside the corner, outside or slot. I mean, he tweeted the other day that like he doesn't consider himself like a linebacker or a safety. He is a defensive player, and that's exactly what he is. So Isaiah Simmons is obviously on the board. But lastly, you got Derek Brown, who I wouldn't take Derek Brown at 3, but if you traded down and took Derek Brown, I think that'd be good. Because people on Twitter don't like Derek Brown for whatever reason, but Derek Brown would still fill. Oh, okay. Well, Troy's one of those people. He'll explain himself in a second here. But Derek Brown, he still fills a major need on this football team. You know, now I don't think the Lions are going to take Derek Brown. Now, obviously, watch them take him, and people are going to roast me for this in the future. But like, I have a feeling the Lions are going to sign a defensive tackle in the offseason and then probably draft one of the 3 previous guys we just talked about. But Derek Brown, even if the Lions did draft him, it still feels a major need. And Derek Brown's a good prospect. You know, he's not like some bum off the street. You know, he won SEC Defensive Player of the Year last year. He's really good at stopping the run. He gets pressure at the nose tackle position, which those are 2 things that the Lions both struggled with last year from their D-line, pressure and stopping the run. And he fills both of those needs just like that, just by drafting him. And he'll be good to go year 1. But as I just alluded to, though, you kind of don't like the idea of Derek Brown at number 3. Or do you not like him at 3 or just in general?
Here's the thing. Derek Brown is a good prospect. I will say that for sure. I think he is a top 10 player in the draft. I think he's a top 10 talent. And I think if the Lions were to trade back, not to 5, but to like 7 or 8, like if they make a deal with the Chargers or something,
they're at
Derek
7.
Brown, yeah, Derek Brown would be, Derek Brown would be the guy I'd want to do.
Okay,
I'd want to pick for that spot.
Okay, but not at 3.
Not at 3, and even at 5. You know, at that point, if you trade back to 5, somebody's taken to a third, and then Okudah or Simmons will be gone at 4, maybe.
Maybe who's available after.
Yeah, I think one of those 2 should be going to us at 5 if we trade back to 5. Mm-hmm. I don't think Derek Brown should ever be in consideration for the 5th pick unless, you know, Okudah and Simmons are both off the board. I think he is definitely my 4th player on the Lions draft board. So I think he is their bare minimum pick. And honestly, if they pick him at 3rd or 5, I think that is the most SOL Lions pick they could possibly make at 5.
Now, I don't disagree with your argument. There are some people on Twitter that are saying, like, don't take him at all. He sucks. I'm like, okay, well, you obviously don't know what's happening. Like, as you alluded to, Derek Brown, he's a good prospect. And I agree with what you said. If they trade down and take him, I'd be fine with that, especially at like 6 or 7. If you trade down the Chargers of Carolina, that's perfect. You get extra draft compensation, and you get Derek Brown, who, in my opinion, is one of the 4 elite defensive prospects in this draft. I agree there.
Do you disagree that 5 would be too early to take him?
No, because I also agree with your other point that if you trade down to 5, if not both of them, one or the other of Okudah or Simmons is going to be there.
Yeah.
And if you can trade down, get some draft compensation, and then take whoever's left, that's also good. Which, by the way, this is off topic, but I don't want to rule out the Giants possibly not taking either one of those guys. They need an offensive tackle, and this is an offensive tackle heavy draft.
They do need one, and
it's
honestly, if you listen to, and I mean this is just for Giants' sake, Valeni, who is the resident Giant fan. So I mean, if there's one guy that can speak for who they should get and who they want, and really knows their roster well enough to make a educated guess, he wants an offensive lineman.
Does he?
For that team? Yes. He does not want them to take a Simmons or an Okudah.
Good.
So, yeah, I mean, the more the merrier. Send them on their way with their left tackle and let us, have our full smorgasbord of defensive players to choose from at 5.
If the Lions could trade down to 5 with the Dolphins and have their option of taking Okudah or Simmons, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But I do agree with your point also that, if they took Derek Brown at 3,
then, I mean... You're basically just it's a Lions move. It'd be a Lions move.
It would be a very Bob Quinn move, I feel like.
Bob Quinn move, whatever. It's not even Bob Quinn at that point. I think,
because
a Bob Quinn move is just a Lions move.
A Bob Quinn move in the draft is taking
trying to be the smartest person in the room.
It's taking schematic fit and need over talent.
Yes.
You saw that last year at TJ Hawkinson. I still love Hawk. I still think he has all-pro potential at the tight end position. But they passed on a guy like Ed Oliver, who would be really nice right now. They passed on a guy who like Devin Bush, who he's doing really good with Pittsburgh. They passed on a guy who I still love to this day, Brian Burns, who's killing it with the Carolina Panthers, and he's a pass rusher.
Like, when was the last time the Lions had a good defensive line? And then compare that to... the amount of draft picks that they've used to address that need. I feel like Bob Quinn has neglected the hell out of this. Yeah, that was it.
That was their best defensive line.
And that wasn't Bob Quinn's doing. That was Martin Mayhew.
Yeah.
So Bob Quinn has neglected the hell out of this defensive line, and I think he's kind of realized that, and he might overcompensate and take a guy like Derek Brown at 3.
Well, Bob Quinn did, we thought, fix the defensive line last year. And that obviously it didn't work out whatsoever.
No.
I mean, in Bob Quinn's defense, I will say, I thought last year the D-line would be a strength to this team, and it obviously wasn't. But
yeah, on paper, that line was all-star caliber. It was just all-stars across the board.
Injuries and age blow.
Yes.
They suck. Snacks got old. Mike Daniels got hurt. His toe exploded.
And add complacency on top of that, where it's like guys are getting all this cash. They're like, I don't need to really play that hard anymore. I got enough guaranteed cash, a.k.a. Mike Daniels.
Well, Mike Daniels is a free agent, though, so, like... He needed to play for another contract, but if you're hurt, you're hurt. There's nothing you can do about that. Another guy, Deshaun Hand, he hasn't been able to stay healthy in his 2 years here. But, yeah, going back to the point of a Bob Quinn draft pick, though, like we have seen before, Bob Quinn is not afraid to pass on talent and go for a more schematical need. And a few draft picks that has worked, like Frank Ragnow. That has really worked.
Yeah, if you give the Lions a late first-round pick or like even a mid-first-round pick, passing on talent for need isn't too... It's not shocking, and it's not even a bad idea. It's when you're in the top 5 that, you have all the talent-heavy players there. and you pass on them for need at that point, it doesn't make sense at that point in the draft at all.
Especially when the Lions have as many holes as they do. Like
Yes.
the entire defensive side of the ball is a hole to me. When they trade Slay, they'll need another number one corner. They need another safety because it doesn't seem like Tavon Wilson will be back. They need a linebacker, but they love their linebacking core, so they might not address that position. They need defensive line help. They need a nose tackle. They need pass rushers. I mean, the entire defense is a question mark. And when you're picking number 3 in the draft, whether you keep the pick or trade down, you do need to go, I think, talent over need because you need everything. So, and with respect to Derek Brown, like I said, he's a beast, but he's not, I don't think he's the best of those 3 other guys.
Plus, you got 2 other guys out of the 4, 2 other guys other than him out of those 4 that can also do what he does. Not maybe as well as he does. Well, in case of Chase Young, yes. But, Isaiah Simmons can also, stop the run, rush the passer. He can do those things. I mean, he can do a lot more and maybe not as well as Derek Brown, but I view Isaiah Simmons as much more coveted talent than Derek Brown at this point.
No, I view Chase Young, Okudah, and Isaiah Simmons as better talent than Derek Brown.
I agree.
Like, again, all 4 of them are good prospects, and they will be home run picks by the Lions. But
hopefully,
if you take Derek Brown, though, over any one of those 3 guys, that's when you can look at Bob Quinn and be like, okay, did that really need to be the move?
Here's the thing. If Chase Young is available and they take Derek Brown, I'm bum rushing the Ford Field with a freaking lighted torch.
I've seen people talking about that on Twitter. Like I think it was Dave Burkett of the Free Press. I can't remember, but I think someone asked him, "Is there a possibility the Lions pass on Chase Young if he's there?"
Wasn't it Wojo? That was the Lions definitely want Derek Brown regardless of who's available.
Well, we know the Lions want Derek Brown. I mean, he was at their pro day, or they were at his pro day, I should say. He's on their draft board. But I think it was Dave Burkett who answered a fan question. Like someone asked him, could the Lions pass on Chase Young if he's there? And Dave was like, they're not passing on Chase Young, but I think they think highly of Derek Brown. That's what he said.
That's scary. That's scary. That's really scary.
I mean, if you're the Lions, though, if Chase Young is there at 3, you run that card to the podium. Do you not? You run
it out there yourself. You just give.
You fly to Vegas and run the card up yourself.
You give Goodell the bird and go up there yourself.
Take a boat on the Bellagio fountains. Take the boat, drive up there, flip him the card, flip the bird, go back home.
You fly to Vegas. You parachute down from the plane, land on the stage with the card in hand, and go, Chase Young, Ohio State, right there.
What would you do if they passed on Chase Young? I would lose it, dude. That would be. I would say that would be the last straw for me, but the Redskins loss was the last straw. I've already made it clear I'm done with this regime. I'm just kind of watching and seeing what they do at this point. But if they hypothetically passed on Chase Young,
for a split second, I was gonna go well, hopefully they could get a Tua, but then obviously Chase Young being there means both quarterbacks are gone. So
yeah, Tua would not be there.
Just feel yep. It's Lions. It's the Lions.
Let me ask you this: hypothetically, the Lions pass on Chase Young, but they take your boy Isaiah Simmons. How you feel?
Bittersweet. I'm glad we got Isaiah Simmons, but damn, I wanted Chase Young so bad. And it would hurt a lot less taking Isaiah than it would Okudah. For me.
I feel like a lot. I want to get back to that point in a second here, but I feel like that would, if the Lions passed on Chase Young, I feel like that would be their breaking point with Quinn Trisha. Because there are still people that they're Lion fans. They want to see this work. And we all want to see this work. But there are people like you and me who kind of think, I don't think this is going to work, but we'll see what happens. But then there are also other Lion fans that are like, no, let's see what they can do. Let's see what happens in the offseason here. But if they passed on Chase Young, I feel like that would be the point where some some defenders of the Quintricia regime would be like, yeah, I can't defend this anymore. I mean, they passed on a generational pass rusher.
Yeah. And looking at Simmons, I will say, one, I called it. He's a freaking freak. And if you didn't realize that before the combine, you do now.
We knew he was going to blow up the combine. We all knew he was going to. I think I texted you the night of the national championship game. I'm like, dude, he's going to explode at the combine.
Yeah. We were going back and forth like Isaiah Simmons is the second best defensive player in the draft, or at least I think so, for sure. Whether you do, I know, you've been on Lions Twitter enough to, really slather yourself up with Okuda love. But
we're going to talk about that in a second here, but continue with your point.
I look at defensive draft positions as the closer to the line, the more important. I think
that's fair.
Yeah, I think corners are the least important as far as talent goes to have on your defense. Because I think if you can get to the quarterback, you could have a mediocre corner out there that just needs to, put pressure on the wide receiver and to make the incomplete pass. Or, it's not, he doesn't have to be a ball hawking, Darrelle Revis type, Ed Reed kind of guy. He just needs to basically just be a okay corner when you have pass rushers, up the wazoo. And I think that's, when you look at the guys that are on the board, I put Okuda and Derek Brown pretty close to each other, honestly. Like, Derek Brown is vanilla of a draft pick out of the four of them.
It would be a safe pick, and that's Bob Quinn's philosophy.
Yeah, it's the safest pick. But I look at, as far as need goes, Derek Brown is much more of a need than Okuda. At least at this point in time.
At the time of recording this, it is.
Yeah.
But after they ship out Slade for like a 4th-round pick.
But even then, it's like you created a need to fill it. It doesn't make any sense for them to do that.
Well, what have I been saying on Twitter the past few months? I don't understand what this team is doing.
Exactly. So that's why, I don't want to draft Okuda. I think it's unnecessary either way you slice it. I think there's better players for better needs on your defense that are out there, and drafting him to fill up the hole that you just left by getting rid of Slay doesn't make any sense because you shouldn't have got rid of him in the first place.
Well,
So it's like a lose-lose for me if they take Okuda.
Well, you know how I feel about the whole Darius Slay situation. The minute they ship him out, I'm going to be frustrated, and you'll get the Patricia defenders like, oh, he wasn't a culture fit. I'll be like, yeah, okay, but he was still a beast. So, I don't know. We'll worry about that when the time comes. But with regards to Jeff Okuda, yeah, I was just about to ask you why you weren't so high on him, but you just already kind of explained that. And what you did say, yeah, that's true. You win by dominating the offensive line, or the line of scrimmage, I should say. Offensive line, defensive line. That's how you really win football games. You got to dominate the line of scrimmage. But at the same time, as I mentioned to start this pod, when I was describing each prospect kind of in depth, Jeff Okuda is still an absolute machine, though.
Oh,
You don't take a corner top 5 overall unless you know they're going to be like a superstar. Like, I don't have the list in front of me, but when you look at the list of the past few corners that have been taking that high, you see names like Jalen Ramsey, Patrick Peterson, and other guys, so on and so forth. That's really good company.
Yeah.
And, as I kind of alluded to start this pod, Jeff Okuda is, according to Dale Jeremiah of the NFL Network, who is like their lead draft guy, he's more NFL ready than Denzel Ward or Marshawn Lattimore were. And those are obviously two of the best corners in football. Jeff Okuda, you watch the tape, he's a machine at Ohio State. He is as locked down as lockdown could get. He's NFL ready the second you take him. And he would fill a need for this football team. Now, while I do agree with your point that pass rushing should come first, at the same time, if you draft a guy like Jeff Okuda, you're drafting your next number one corner for the next decade. And that, especially for a guy like Okuda, who's an absolute machine, I would not be against that pick whatsoever.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm not against it either. I mean, if I was to, tier these guys out, it's Chase Young is a must at 3.
Oh, yeah, he's like number 1, clearly.
I'd say Isaiah Simmons, I'd take at 3 or 5. If you want to trade back, Isaiah Simmons is the number 1 guy to go with. Okuda, I'd go at 5 or later. If you want to take him 5, 6, 7, 8, wherever you can trade back to, I'd be fine with that. And I think the only reason you take Derek Brown is if you get a 6, 7, 8 draft pick. I don't think you take him at 5 or 3. But I think that's how it would go for me, at each draft position that the Lions could fall into.
Right now, and this is subject to change, but my board is Chase, Okuda, Simmons, and Derek Brown. And again, it's nothing really against Isaiah Simmons. He's an absolute machine. Like, we knew that he was going to blow up the combine, and he's a perfect fit for this defense because he's a perfect defensive player in today's NFL. Someone that you could just kind of plug and play. It's like a chessboard. You can put him literally anywhere. And
I mean, for this defense, the whole Patricia way is, finding guys that you can put in different spots and that are just kind of chess pieces that you can move around. And there's no better player in this draft than Isaiah Simmons for that. Now, if you talk about the way Patricia uses his players and stuff like that, that's one thing. But I think, if you gift Patricia somebody like this, you just hope that he can maybe do something with it. But sorry to interrupt you with that.
No. But here's my only thing with regards to Isaiah Simmons, though. And you're going to roll your eyes, but it's the absolute truth. You and I both know that Matt Patricia, do you think he would use Isaiah Simmons the way he was used at Clemson? Like, Clemson literally threw him anywhere. Like, as I alluded to in the beginning of the pod when I was kind of like describing every prospect, I feel like if they took Simmons hypothetically, they would just kind of throw him at safety. Like, I can't see Patricia using him like that, though. You
don't see him possibly just putting him at outside linebacker to, cover a tight end, or putting him back at safety if they got a slot receiver out there, or the off chance that they actually do blitz, he's the first guy that they make sure is on that defense.
I don't know, because this is another thing with the Lions. I talked about this already, but they love their linebacking core. I don't know why. Jared Davis, he's not looking too hot. Jelani was fine last year. Devon Kennard, I mean, he's a team captain. I like Devon, but...
Is it safe to call Jared Davis a flat-out bust?
He's not a flat-out bust, but he's trending towards being a bust. But you also look at a guy like Christian Jones, who the Lions just extended. Like... Do you think they're going to take Isaiah Simmons if they really like their linebacking core? I don't know.
See, the fact that he could play safety or defensive end, though, is tempting for me.
But again,
regardless of if he can play linebacker or not.
But that's the thing, though. Do you think Patricia's going to use him that way? I don't know.
I don't know either, but just based on Patricia's history of the way he likes to experiment with his players, I think it's possible that maybe he does accidentally use them correctly.
I have a feeling that they're going to rank Derek Brown higher on their draft board than Isaiah Simmons.
Oh, I have that feeling too. I mean, and it's not a good feeling, but it's a feeling.
I don't think, honestly, I'm not sure if Isaiah Simmons is going to be a Lion, but here's I don't care. He's still on our draft board.
He's on my, he's in the draft board of our hearts. But but if I was to put any money on the Lions draft board and where players are falling, I don't even think Isaiah Simmons would be in the top 5 guys that they'd want. I think there's
the reasons I just listed make you think that.
I think there's 2 other guys that we're not talking about that are higher on their draft board than Isaiah Simmons. I'm not sure who those guys are, honestly.
Oh, I thought you were about to list names. I'm wait a second here.
No, but I mean, Who knows? The Lions could have fucking Jerry Jeudy higher than Isaiah Simmons.
Oh God, if they took Jerry Jeudy, I like Jerry Jeudy, but don't take a wide receiver. That
Yeah.
Come on now,
It'd be so Matt Millen of them.
take an offensive tackle. Could you imagine?
At three.
Could you imagine? Oh, could you imagine if they took an offensive tackle with this first round pick?
The only reason to take an offensive tackle would just be to give the bird to the Giants. That's the only reason, because the Giants are the only team in that top 5 that have an offensive tackle in their top 3.
Yeah. I don't know what the Lions about to do. No one does. I think that's kind of the mystery with Bob Quinn. No one really knows what's happening. But again, I want to elude my point that I started this podcast with. If the Lions take any one of those 4 guys, Chase Young, Okudah, Simmons, or Brown, I think that's a home run pick. Especially in the case of Okudah, Simmons, or Brown. If you can trade down and take them, that's really a home run.
Yeah.
It's a no doubt home run.
Yeah.
But
And there's a good chance all 3 of them are there at 5 for sure.
They
Considering what
hope.
you're saying about the Giants.
I hope.
You know?
I hope the Giants take a tackle so we can have our pickings at 5 if we trade down with Miami. But who do they take if that hypothetically happens? That's obviously what we're kind of debating here, you know?
And I mean, if we're being completely honest, my whole draft board would go Young, Simmons, Tua.
Oh.
But that's just me.
No. 2 was like not even in my top 5 because I don't think it's a possibility.
I don't think it's a real possibility either. But like we said, we're discussing the draft board of our hearts. And I want
Your
Tua.
heart, not mine.
Yes.
Not my heart. But I want to make this last point really quickly about Jeff Okudah. The Lions also love their man-to-man corners.
That is true.
So I feel like Jeff Okudah could be a possibility there because of how much they like man-to-man. And Jeff Okudah is a really, really good man-to-man corner. And again, if they took Jeff Okudah, I would be extremely happy with that because, as I mentioned already, you would be taking your next number 1 corner for the next 10 years or so.
Do you like the idea of drafting him at 3?
I'm not against it, but I wouldn't recommend it.
So, if they did, what would be your immediate reaction?
I wouldn't be angry, but
you wouldn't be?
No, because
Okay.
I rank Jeff Okudah higher than most people do. Like especially you, I rank Jeff Okudah higher than you clearly.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not, like I said, I put him at, my 5th, 6th best player in the draft.
Now see,
So-
I think he's higher than that. I think he's like 2 or 3. He's 2 for me. Right, both Ohio State guys are 1 and 2 for me. Chase Young, Jeff Okudah. I think both of them are absolute winners. And specifically, those 2 guys, I would be like, all right, that's good. Even for like a Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia critic like me, I'll be like, okay, they took a player that I actually kind of liked. Let's see what they can do with him now. And that's not a shot at Derek Brown or Isaiah Simmons. Again, as we've alluded to throughout the past 20 minutes or so, those are also really good players.
Yeah, and I do want to know where, your anger starts to creep up. I mean, is Simmons at 3
No,
out of the
no.
question for you?
At 3, yeah, I would kind of be like, really? Simmons at 3?
Okay. You definitely would want him at 5.
I would question
5 is where you put him at.
I would question why you couldn't trade down and get him. Yeah.
Okay.
Even Okudah too. If they take Okudah at 3, while I wouldn't be like upset, I'd be like,
Yeah, I mean,
couldn't trade down.
I think it's very possible to, always trade down and get one of these guys. I think the only one that you will definitely not be able to get at 5 is Chase Young.
If Tua's on the board at 3 and the Lions don't trade down, I'm gonna be like, what are you doing? How are you not able to trade down?
Yeah, I think there's like an above 80% chance for all 3 players to still be there at 5. I think it's very likely that the Giants are not looking at these 3 guys.
Well, I think they're looking at them, but
I mean, of course, just doing due diligence. But I think
for the Giants, offensive tackle is a way bigger need than defense. But the Giants' defense is a mess, and it's Dave Gettleman. So
yeah. But like the Giants, just like us, they have needs everywhere. The only needs they don't have are at like running back and quarterback.
that is true.
So, I mean,
They have the quarterback. wide receiver, running back, and tight end figured out.
Yeah. They just need
After that,
offensive line.
After that, it's a whole bunch of mess for the Giants, kind of like the Lions. But
And I mean, looking at that, looking at all the pieces that they need, and I think offensive line that takes care of their defense or their offense. They got enough pieces to maybe build around with free agency, and then the rest of the draft they can pick all the defensive players they want.
Dave Gettleman, I know you're watching this. Take the Louisville tackle at 4. You know you love him. He was a beast at the combine. Take him at 4. Let the Lions trade back to 5 and take their picking of Okudah, Simmons, and Brown.
Yes.
That's the dream if they can't get Chase Young.
Yep.
Trade back, land any one of those 3.
Yeah.
Now, if you take Derek Brown over those 2, that's when it's like,
you know what? Let's have their pick of Okudah or Simmons at 5. Let's leave Derek Brown out of this until they...
No, because like I said, I still think Derek Brown would be a really nice pick, but I wouldn't take him over Simmons or Okudah.
Yeah.
But again, though, draft talk is hot right now, though, so this will not be the final time we talk about the draft, though.
No.
Before we end draft talk, though, are there any other prospects that kind of caught your eye? Maybe not so much with the first round pick, but just in general, any prospect that caught your eye for the Lions? Because I have one guy who went to the University of Michigan.
I know who you're talking about, but I'll let you discuss it.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
I do know who you're talking about.
Who am I talking about, Troy?
DPP.
There you go, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Yeah,
DPJ.
I like him a lot. He was good at the combine. Had a good couple workouts at the combine, and it's a deep wide receiver class. Like you can get a good wide receiver on day 3. That's how deep the wide receiver class is this year.
It reminds me kind of the Mike Evans, Sammy Watkins draft, where it was just like there's wide receivers that are basically on the exact same level of talent all across that first round.
I think this wide receiver class might be the deepest I've ever seen. I mean, this wide receiver class is so deep. Like I said, you could get a good wide receiver day 3. And with regards to Donovan Peoples-Jones, I like him. I like him as a prospect. I kind of feel like, and I don't want to get into Michigan talk here, but I don't think Jim Harbaugh used him correctly at Michigan. I think if you could get him in Darryl, if you get him in Darryl Bevel's system, I feel like he could be more utilized as kind of like that deep threat.
But I just don't see a place for him. I mean, you got your deep threat in Kenny. Marvin is enough of a deep threat on his own. I mean, Marvin is a little injury prone at this point in his career, but I mean, do you go for a second round pick for a guy that might end up being our 3rd, 4th string wide receiver?
But that's the thing with Darryl Bevel's system, though. Marvin Hall was making plays for this team last year, and he was like our 4th or 5th receiver. So Darryl Bevel gets everyone involved, and I feel like if you added Donovan Peoples-Jones or any wide receiver to the mix, I was just picking Donovan Peoples-Jones because I like him as a prospect. I think he could be a realistic fit for this Lions team. But any wide receiver, I'd be fine with. They had to take a wide receiver in the draft.
You think they do?
Absolutely.
I'm so sick of the Lions drafting weapons. I mean, they don't hit on enough of them. I mean,
doesn't mean you have to stop.
Still, I know.
You
but
still have to keep going.
I mean, I guess when it comes to like Matt Millen, I mean, throw enough wide receiver draft picks at the wall until you get yourself a Calvin Johnson. But at that point, you've already wasted enough. I mean,
well, the Lions aren't picking a wide receiver to be their next Kenny Galladay or even their next Marvin Jones. They just need someone to eventually be Danny Amendola's replacement. And I think you could look at a guy like Donovan Peoples-Jones. You could look at a guy like KJ Hill from Ohio State. You could look at a KJ Hamler from Penn State. Like,
would DPJ make a good slot receiver though?
No, I'm not necessarily saying slot receiver. I'm just saying someone who could take the top off a defense. That's why I use KJ Hill and Hamler, because those guys can take the top off defenses. We saw that with Big Ten play last year.
Yeah.
Donovan Peoples-Jones, I feel like, can take the top off a defense, but we didn't see that at Michigan because I didn't think Jim Harbaugh looked at him that way.
You just used him as, all right, we need to dump off this, we need to get this pass downfield just somewhere. Okay, DBJ, go.
Like, we saw shades of Donovan Peoples-Jones pop in the defense. Like, in the Michigan State game 2018 in East Lansing, that infamous touchdown play when he threw up the Paul Bunyan. He took the top off the Michigan State defense on that play. I mean, it didn't help that whoever was covering him fell down, but he still took the top off the defense. You know, that I see that in Donovan Peoples-Jones, and that's why I feel like in a Darrell Bevell offense, that could really help the Lions next year. But again, any wide receiver I feel like would be a good fit for this team. Now, take a wide receiver like late day 2, early day 3. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. Okay. 3rd, 4th round.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
But what about you? What other prospects or positions caught your eye at the scouting combine?
I mean, I'll be honest. I was more focused on, who they like, because I'm so enthralled with who they could possibly taking that first pick. That's all I was really focusing on. So,
and that's fair.
Maybe at a fault to me, but
no, those are the bigger names, the sexier. The first round pick is the sexiest.
And I'm basically obsessed with finding out who the Lions love there, and
well, we still don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We still have no clue, but I was on top of those hot names because I really am curious. I'm a little frustrated, and I'm very excited for that.
You're spewing.
I'm spewing. Well, maybe not spewing. I'm dripping.
Oh my god! All right, that's enough for the combine talk. But that will not be the last of the draft talk. Obviously, we still got about a month or so to go. We'll also probably start free agency talk next week, maybe. Because by the time we're recording next Sunday, free agency will be literally in a few days.
Yep. Oh,
so yeah, we gotta start doing our homework on some free agents and some possible fits.
Yep.
I mean, I've already got a couple fits, but we'll save that for next week. Whether or not Darius Slay's a line or not kind of plays a role in that. If Darius Slay does get traded, though, I think it might be this upcoming week. I mean, free agency is literally...
Yeah, you want to make enough room as possible for free agents, and trading him before then is the best possible time.
Trading Slay before free agency makes the most sense, because if they sign like a guy like Byron Jones and still have Slay on the team, it's kind of like, all right, well, that's really cool, but that's a lot of money tied up to 2 corners. But we'll see going forward. But regardless, though, on to the next NFL topic. The CBA, the whole spiel happening there.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't know too much about this whole CBA proposal. It's not something I've kind of dove my focus on, But what I do know about the CBA is that the voting is currently going on right now. The deadline is Thursday, I believe, of this upcoming week. And it seems like everyone's divided on it. It seems like a lot of people are saying no, including some of the owners don't want this to go through because according to ESPN, some of the owners screwed up on the economics or something like that. I don't know how that happens, but all right.
Yeah, it's as you think with the owners, they're watching their wallets.
You think they would have all the I's and T's dotted and crossed, but it doesn't sound like that at all. So some of the voters want to vote no. It seems like the players are really divided. You got guys like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson. I think Richard Sherman also said that they're voting no.
You'd have to give me examples of guys that are saying yes to this because I haven't really seen any.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, Nate Soldier, the Giants' current left tackle. Maybe not in the future, but
so guys that don't really or wouldn't really see enough playing time in the future.
Well, Fitzpatrick will be the Dolphins' starting quarterback next year.
Oh,
but for now,
until the Dolphins trade up for Tua.
Well, no, if they take Tua, Fitzpatrick will be the starter. But
you know what I mean, though. Like they're not going to be seeing very many starting positions in the future. Maybe Fitzpatrick can, but definitely not in the foreseeable future.
But some people are voting yes on this while a lot of other people are still voting no. It seems like everyone's divided on this, from owners to players.
But I mean,
it's looking like a strike could be on the horizon here.
the way it's trending, if they vote no, then they'll have to take it back to the drawing board, as most union contracts go. And at that point, players are going to start to get restless, and in order to win the war with the NFL owners, they're going to have to strike. And who knows how long that would take, but it might end up interfering with our season if it takes long enough. There's this whole thing about they have a war chest built up. They take money out of players' contracts monthly or seasonally or something like that. So they have enough money. I think it's $250,000 per player across the entire NFL. But the way they have it talked about, players that make, like the high end, like quarterbacks and stuff like that, like Aaron Rodgers and guys that are getting paid like $30 million. They said they're going to forego their $250,000 so that, lesser paid players can have more and keep it going for a lot longer. But I mean, as far as the NFL owners are concerned, all they got to do is wait them out. Like it'll take longer for this to get done, but it's a war of attrition when it comes to these strikes.
I mean, we always knew a strike was possible with regards to this new CBA. I mean, this is something we would talk about going back to years ago. Like back in 2018, we were always talking about oh yeah, there could be a strike in a few years, But now that it's kind of creeping up on us here with this CBA voting, and it seems like everyone's divided on it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, there's not much I can really say on this topic from not doing a lot of research on it, but
here's the real reason I brought this up, and it's a great question to have. Me. If they strike and players run out of money, because that's why I brought it up, do they start accepting XFL contracts?
Probably not. I don't think that's going to happen. They can't just leave the NFL for the XFL.
If they don't have a contract, because that's the whole point. When they are on strike, they are foregoing their contract until they can re-up the deal.
I don't think that would happen. I would imagine they would spend the time off training and getting ready for when the season kicks back up. I can't see someone like Richard Sherman going to the XFL just to get that football kick.
No, it wouldn't be players like Richard Sherman. It would be the minimum wage players of the NFL that run out of money and now they don't have an income.
I still don't even think they would go to the XFL season's not even going on during the NFL season.
No, but they need to get paid. I mean, if you sign a contract in the offseason, you're getting some money up front, which is a lot more than they would be getting from the NFL during a strike where they lose out on that $250,000 if they blow it. If you wait long enough, that $250,000 will be gone. And if that's the whole season, I don't know, or how long of a timetable that would take. I mean, I guess it would just depend on how quickly an NFL player can spend $250,000. But these guys that are getting paid like $850,000 from the NFL already, and then are getting this $250,000 strike money, and they're not living as comfortably, and they might have to take on. It's like taking a second job. They might have to sign a 1-year deal with the XFL, or maybe a multi-year deal if they're comfortable enough with it. And you might see some players, start fluctuating over there. It wouldn't be a complete lampooning. It wouldn't be like the entire NFL starts moving over, but you might see a couple names in there that might take some more money just so that they have an income coming in.
I don't think so. I think these guys have enough money in the bank to kind of just chill out and wait for stuff to happen. I don't think. I mean, it's interesting to think about, but I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. I don't even know if the XFL is going to survive past one season. Like, has anyone even talked about the XFL after week 1?
I've actually seen quite a few tweets about it. Like, people are really big on the Houston Roughnecks.
Because they're 5-0.
Yeah, but they're like, that's they have a fan base now because they are so dominant.
Well, they're about to lose their quarterback. The NFL teams are looking at B.J. Walker, so...
but the way the XFL has structured their contracts, the XFL takes priority over the NFL. So he might be stuck there, whether he wants to be or not.
I don't know. Going back to the XFL, remember what we said after its week 1 debut? I want to see how the ratings look after when March is here, March Madness tournament, NBA, NHL playoffs, so on and so forth, the draft. I haven't seen much XFL talk ever since week 1.
I think that, I don't know if this is really, going to be the NFL of the winter or anything like that. But
no.
I think it could be like a Big 3, like Big 3 basketball, where it has its own group of fans. It's not, nearly on the same level as the NBA, but it does have its group of fans. Players are attracted to going to it. Granted, it's after they retire from the NBA. But, it's like a traveling type league during times where the NBA is not big. It could work. I think it could work as that kind of league.
It could work as kind of like a Big 3, but are people going to start flocking to it if there's a strike? I don't necessarily think so. But regardless though of this new CBA proposal and voting, it's still going to be interesting to see what happens though, because as we kind of alluded to, it seems like there's kind of unrest there. It seems like there's a lot of divide within the league from a players and ownership standpoint. I don't know. Like I said, we've always kind of known a strike we always knew it was kind of possible, but
I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL season starts to roll around, like it's getting to August, September, and they still haven't come up with a idea to then pull the trigger on a strike, which would then, make it so that they have to go through multiple weeks of the strike in order to just get a deal on the table, which would then put them at least at the halfway point of the season, which would that would be a smart move for the players because that's taking a huge dent into the owners' paychecks.
Well, we've seen this before with the National Hockey League. Recently they had a strike that lasted until January, which is the middle of the season.
Yeah.
They only played like 40-something games that year, and they figured something out.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And, you'd know better than I would. Did that contract ended up being more player friendly or owner friendly?
I don't remember what happened. I was kind of just starting out my hockey fandom back then, but I do remember that they didn't start playing until January. I do remember that part, and obviously they figured something out, so it's not unforeseen to see half a season be missed. But
the way owner-player relations are happening in the NHL, it's safe to say that the contract probably was more player-friendly than the NFL contract currently is. So I think that's the way to go, the smart thing to do, if the players want to have a more favorable contract. So we'll see. I really hope that the players can get this done.
Yeah, I hope this gets done. I don't want to see a strike. No one wants to see a strike.
Yeah. But I'd rather see a strike than see the players get screwed over. That's just me.
I would rather have both sides happy. Yes, I do agree there. But hopefully it doesn't go down in a strike, because if we miss football, even now, the NFL offseason's so long, and it needs to be, but it's so long. It feels like it's been years since the Super Bowl. It's been a month.
Just 1 month.
It feels like forever.
4.5 weeks. Oh. That's all it's been.
And it feels like forever, does it not?
It does.
Oh.
Actually, it's been 4 weeks, I think, to the day.
Not
to the day, but it was like Sunday The first Sunday of the week.
Of
Whatever.
All right, Troy just kind of had a brain fart there.
No, it was the first. This
Yeah.
is the first Sunday of March.
Is it?
That was the first Sunday of.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, the tornado sirens went off yesterday, so yesterday was the first Saturday
Oh,
of
yeah.
March.
Oh, yeah. I saw a tweet joke about that. Happy first Saturday of the month at 1 p.m.
Happy everybody gets alarmed for a couple of seconds.
Could you imagine if it's like a stormy day and that happens? They can't do that.
Today's March 8th, so.
Oh, they totally can do it. They can. They probably
Oh.
feel hilarious for it, too.
Today's March 8th, so it's actually the second Sunday of March, but semantics.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But I still got your point.
Yeah.
All right, so enough strike talk. That kind of scared me. Let's talk about something more having to do with free agency. Tom Brady. So obviously he's a free agent for the first time in his career. Well, unrestricted free
yeah.
agent for the first time in his career. There is a real chance that he could be playing somewhere that's not New England next year. And while that's crazy to think about, there are some people that still kind of swear up and down. They're like, there's no way Brady leaves. And I'm one of those people that's like, I don't think it's crazy to think that. I mean, things didn't end well last season with the Patriots. I mean, it was an absolute disastrous ending for them. It wasn't a Patriot-esque season. Even in the regular season when they were dominating people, they still had problems on offense. The offense was really, really bad last year. The offensive line was not what it once was.
Neither is Tom Brady, if we're being honest.
Tom Brady was showing signs of possibly getting older, even though I think the offensive line for the Patriots had more to do with that than him. He didn't really have any weapons on offense. I mean, I can't even name the Patriots starting tight end. Maybe Ben Watson? I can't name any other tight ends on that roster. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, I think, maybe.
Oh, that's a name I haven't heard in ages.
That's the name I haven't heard in a long time. Outside of Julian Edelman, I mean, what wide receivers do they have? N'Keal Harry, Mohamed Sanu. They didn't have any weapons on offense last year, especially at wideout and tight end. And, all season, and I mean all season, we heard rumblings that Brady and Belichick were kind of butting heads a little bit.
Which is like seeing mom and dad fight, honestly, because they are.
And sometimes mom and dad do split up. So, I don't know. I don't think it's crazy to think that there could be a divorce on the horizon here. And if there is a divorce on the horizon, Brady's new lover in this kind of analogy, it's going to be really interesting to see who that ends up being, because there's a lot of teams that could be interested in him, including
formerly mentioned San Francisco 49ers.
Yes, we will not be talking about the 49ers offseason as promised, but Deion Sanders brought this up during the scouting combine coverage. He kind of brought it up as like a rumor. He was like, I'll tell you where Tom Brady should go. San Francisco. And everyone's like, oh, come on, stop, Deion. But now it's becoming like a rumor. There's reports out there that the Niners are actually interested in this. They could trade Jimmy G back to New England and sign Brady in a crazy sign-in trade.
Gross.
I don't think that happens. I think the 49ers are committed to Jimmy Garoppolo, which they should be.
They should be. There was trials and tribulations that he had to overcome in that Super Bowl, and I mean, he was not the reason they were there. I mean, I don't think he had the best playoffs of all time, but he is an above average quarterback.
He's fine.
Yeah, and I think he still has room for improvement. I know he's 28. I know it's he's pretty close to his prime already, but there's still some things that he can learn, and I think he is a franchise quarterback of the future.
Jimmy Garoppolo, this upcoming season will technically be his second season in the Shanahan system, because obviously after they traded for him, he didn't really play that much. But the following year, he tore his ACL week 3 or whatever, and he didn't play that much. I mean, he had time to study the playbook, but he wasn't able to execute it. Last year, in a full year healthy, the 49ers offense was clicking. And yeah, it had more to do with the run game, but when you're Jimmy Garoppolo and you don't need to be asked of much, like it's a perfect situation.
Yeah.
And obviously Tom Brady is Tom Brady, but for these people that are like, oh yeah, Jimmy G sucks, the Niners should go get Brady. I kind of look at it as like,
is Brady
they're kind of like the same.
savior?
Are they kind of like the same quarterback in a sense?
They are. I mean, I think Garoppolo probably is better than Brady at this point, talent wise.
I don't know about that, but
I'll go as far to say that because I think Garoppolo is not as good of a game manager as Tom Brady, but I think he has the youthful arm to him that Tom Brady just I don't think has anymore.
Both Brady and Garoppolo in San Francisco's offensive system, they don't need to be asked of much. Jimmy Garoppolo literally threw 8 passes in the NFC Championship against Green Bay. Like,
I haven't seen a passing attempts that low since that Michigan State game.
Oh yeah, thanks for that, Troy. You just had to bring that up, didn't you? Just had to bring that up.
Hey, you guys won that game. What are you all upset about?
You talking about 2018?
In the rain? No, when
yeah. I thought you were talking about 2018 when we had like 95 yards or whatever of offense. Oh, well, I still don't like the way things ended at Michigan State. So this is still in play here. But anywho, Jimmy Garoppolo, he doesn't need to be asked much in San Francisco. And sure, getting Tom Brady would be nice because it's Tom Brady. I mean, that would really boost their Super Bowl odds. But at the same time, I don't think getting rid of Jimmy G is the solution for the Niners. Like, I don't blame Jimmy G for the Super Bowl loss at all.
They made it to the Super Bowl. How many problems can you really have with the guy?
Like, yeah, I don't blame Jimmy G for the Super Bowl loss. I think I blame Shanahan, but that's just one team interested in Tom Brady. And again, I don't think he goes to the 49ers, but you look at teams like the Chargers. You look at the Las Vegas Raiders and good old John Gruden. I'll tell you what, man.
This Tom Brady kid, he's a pretty cool guy.
I would like to add a Tom Brady on my team. You look at the Tennessee Titans, who could be a real possibility because of the relationship between Brady and Mike Vrabel, their head coach. So when you look at the Tom Brady market, Troy, who do you think is a possible realistic fit for him?
I think Tom Brady is a scout in his own right. He goes to these teams, he looks them up, he sees who has talent, who has potential. I think he's not going to go to a team that is far away from a Super Bowl. I think he's going to look at a team that needs a quarterback in order to get over that hump.
All those teams you can make an argument for.
That's why I'd say he's definitely not going to the Raiders, though.
Think about it though for a second. Think about it for a second. If Tom Brady left the Patriots, what better of a way can he stick it to Bill Belichick than going to Vegas and playing for John Gruden? Is that not juicy?
That's juicy, but for a whole different reason.
I think it's highly unrealistic, but yeah. I think it'd be hilarious. Could you imagine Tom Brady on the strip playing for the Vegas Raiders?
Dude, Tom Brady's sitting at the same press conference table as John Gruden
and Mike Mayock. Dude,
and maybe we get a glance at the bowl cut while he's up there.
Oh my God. John Gruden would lose his turkey hole.
There'd be stuff coming out of that turkey hole.
Oh God. All right, that's enough turkey hole jokes.
No, yeah. I think the most realistic spot for him, other than just going back to the Patriots, is the Chargers. I think the Chargers.
Really?
I think the Chargers have pieces there that can be accentuated by having a guy like Tom Brady running that offense.
I don't know. Anthony Lynn, the Chargers head coach, has mentioned numerous times he wants a mobile quarterback. That's why they moved off Phillip Rivers. They want like a mobile guy. And
True.
Tom Brady ain't no mobile quarterback in the
True.
slightest. Like, he's had maybe one good run in his career, but that's it.
Well, maybe, okay. If we're talking, I was thinking more along the lines of where would Tom Brady want to go? As far as, what would the Chargers want?
If you're
it
Tom,
wouldn't be Tom Brady.
If you're Tom Brady, where would you go? Let me ask that question.
I would want to go to the Chargers.
You would want to go to the second LA team?
Yes.
They don't even have a fan base. I mean,
he would give them one.
Oh, I don't know.
He would give them one.
If I'm Tom Brady, I consider the Tennessee Titans. I think the Titans is Patriots South. I think it'd be a perfect fit for him.
That
again,
is a good option too.
You have that connection with Mike Vrabel, so you wouldn't be going to a head coach who you don't really know that well. And the Titans and Patriots are just so similar in what they do. The Titans, they have a philosophy to be built well on defense. And on offense, they want to run the ball down your throat with Derrick Henry, assuming they re-sign him, obviously. They have a really good offensive line with former Spartan Jack Conklin. And they have a bunch of weapons on that offense, too. Guys like A.J. Brown, Delaney Walker, Corey Davis, Adam Humphries, so on and so forth.
I will say, Tom Brady does like himself a good tight end. And Delaney Walker is...
Don't we all?
He's not elite, but he's definitely top tier.
He's
like
a good
top
tight
10.
end.
Yeah.
When healthy. He got hurt last year, I think. But no, I think the Titans is a real possibility. And plus, again, if you have the chance to upgrade Ryan Tannehill to Tom Brady, do you do it if you're Tennessee? I think so. You got to the AFC title game with Ryan Tannehill. I know Brady's not the same player he once was, but Brady, he'd be a better culture fit because of the whole Mike Vrabel Patriot-esque way down there. And, I mean, Tannehill was good for the Titans last year, but I think, unlike the 49ers, I think an upgrade at quarterback with Tom Brady could really push them over the top. Yeah. I really do. I think if you're Tennessee, you break the bank for Tom Brady.
Yeah, I think...
Brady and Derrick Henry, you get those two, you're good.
Here's the main reason why I think the 49ers thing is just completely bupkis.
It is bupkis, but...
It's because a team doesn't roll the dice on an aging quarterback over their guy that is proven enough and is 15 years younger.
They traded for and developed, too.
Yeah. They traded from that team for the guy that was understudy of the guy that they now want.
Yeah, as I mentioned already, I just don't believe these 49ers rumors, Excuse me, I'm kind of gassy this episode.
Oof.
Like, they traded for Jimmy G. They developed him. He's already had a year in this Kyle Shanahan system. I mean, why would you get rid of him for Tom Brady? Tom Brady is Tom Brady. I get that, but like...
Dude isn't getting any better. Let's just say that.
I don't think Tom Brady puts the Niners over the edge for a Super Bowl title.
No.
I think they're just as good of a contender with Jimmy G as they are Tom Brady. Is that a hot take out of me, or is that fair?
No. I think the hot take, which I have, would be the 49ers would get worse with Tom Brady.
That's a hot take. I'm not sure they'd get worse, but I'm not sure they're any better, is my argument.
I think they get progressively worse over time. I think maybe the first year would be similar to what they would have with Jimmy G, but you're getting into the year after or the year after that, I think this team would be spiraling out of control. And maybe wouldn't have a quarterback in 2 years.
They wouldn't have a quarterback in 2 years. But yeah, I don't believe the 49ers Brady rumors. I do believe the Titans Brady rumors because, as I just mentioned, I think that's a perfect fit. But obviously, can't wait to see Tom Brady with the Patriots next season.
I don't know if you saw him at that the college basketball game. Wasn't it the Syracuse game that he was at?
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Where you got Julian Edelman saying he'll be back, and then Tom just kind of like smiles about it and goes, "No, he won't." Or at least that's what his mouth looked like.
Apparently, I can't lip read that well. So some people are saying he said something else. I don't know.
When someone said in the comments, Tom Brady, no, he won't. Laughing emoji, laughing emoji. I rewatched it, and I swear he says that. He's like, no, he won't.
Yeah, it looks like he's saying that, but then like there are other people saying like, no, he actually said this, and it's like, okay, well, I'm not a professional lip reader, so I'm just gonna wait and see what happens. But yeah, Tom Brady, Las Vegas Raiders, sounds cool. When I was in Vegas, people were talking about the Raiders. I kind of chimed in. I was like, wait until Tom Brady's your quarterback, and they're like, oh, no way, no way.
You think they want him in Vegas?
If Tom Brady walked through the airplane with the drums and everything, oh yeah, they'd be spewing on the strip.
Mark would be all over him.
Did I send you the pictures of the Raiders Stadium that I took?
Dude, that's slick.
It looks like a Death Star. Like, it looks like a big black Death Star.
Oh, that's...
Like, it's literally the scene from A New Hope. You're just like, you're driving on the expressway. It just comes out of nowhere. That's the sports stadium. That's no sports stadium. That's a space station. So,
where is that? I was in Vegas not too long ago as and I just didn't see it.
So, we took, obviously, an Uber from the airport to the Mirage where we stayed at. One of the main expressways that we took to get to the strip, we literally drove past it, and it's like it's literally right on the expressway.
Okay. I must have just not been paying attention when we were driving from the airport to the strip.
Yeah, it's like literally like right off, it's literally like expressway stadium. Like, it's right there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how you get to it. It's like I said, literally right by the expressway. So. But yeah, it's right there, and seriously, when you're driving up to it, it's literally like, it looks like the sun rising. It's just like, oh, so that must be the Raiders Stadium. No, that's a space station. And it's the future home of Tom Brady. But NFL free agency talk is going to be hot next week, though, so I can't wait to talk about that.
Yep. Can't wait to see what the Lions don't do. I'm just being facetious.
I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. You know,
it really is up in the air.
They have money to spend, but there's no like Trey Flowers in this free agency class. Like last year, at least I was like, you have to sign Trey Flowers. That is your guy. Yeah,
there is no real guy to spend the money on if you're not talking about Darius Slay.
Yeah, I don't see a guy in this draft or this free agency class. Like, maybe Byron Jones, but this reports that he wants $18 million. And at that point, just pay Darius Slay.
Yeah, he's younger and better. Come on.
Like, is he younger?
I think so. I think Byron Jones is like 30?
I have no idea, but regardless, I'd rather pay Darius Slay. Like, I'd much rather pay Darius Slay like $15 million than pay Byron Jones $18 million.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris Harris Jr. Like,
no. If you're giving me the choice of the three, even if I don't have Darius Slay already, I'm picking Slay.
No, I am too.
All three of them are in free agency. I'm selecting Slay.
No, I am too. But I'm just saying, like, who could that guy be for the Lions? I don't see him.
Yeah, and I mean
Tom Brady.
Unless, I mean, the only other cornerback I would want next to Slay would be Okuda in this whole situation. But that we've already discussed that.
We'll talk about free agency next week,
yeah.
And it all depends. Maybe if Slay's a Lion or not. I hope he is, because if not, I'll be angry.
Yeah.
Anywho, though, to close out this week's episode, let's move into a little tank talk.
Mm-hmm.
So Troy brought this up in our show notes for the week, so I'll let you kind of explain where you want to go with this.
Yeah. There was a whole discussion being had on Twitter after the Pistons' most recent win, and whether
their one win since the Andre trade.
Exactly. And whether or not this win was the end of the world, or even just damaging in the long scheme of things.
I don't mean to cut you off, but for context, for people that forgot, it's the win against Phoenix last Saturday night. But continue.
Yeah, so I saw people, getting upset that they won, and people saying, what's one win, in the grander scheme of things, it's
Just-
one out of every two.
Just at me.
Yeah, one out of every 82 games. So I want to get your full take, since you've kind of outed yourself already on on where you stand.
I don't know why that made me laugh. So here's where I'm at with the whole tank talk. It depends on the sport. If it's the Lions, you lose every game because football is such a short season that one win can damage you. And
If it's baseball, it's not even a question.
No,
Like,
baseball.
This isn't even an issue.
No, baseball. No, shoo. Baseball is not a concern whatsoever. The Tigers could be like in September tanking and be on like a 4-game win streak. It still won't hurt them.
Yeah.
Even the Red Wings this year, one win especially doesn't hurt the Red Wings because first of all,
when you're looking at teams that are by far and away the worst team in the league, winning a game here and there isn't the issue we're discussing. It's when you're in the race for the number one pick.
But, I mean, again, in the Wings case, though, they are far and away the worst team in hockey.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. But also, unfortunately, the Wings aren't even going to have the best lottery odds for the number one pick. I mean, you're probably not aware of this, but I don't want to go into hockey talk, but
No, it's fine. This is tank talk, so
the Ottawa Senators suck. They're rebuilding. They traded one of the best defensemen in the league a couple years ago, Erik Karlsson, to the San Jose Sharks. They got a first-round pick back for him. The Sharks are awful this year. So the Senators are going to have 2 chances at the number one pick. So they have better odds than the Wings do. So that's fantastic. But anywho, the Wings, one win won't hurt them. Like the other night, they beat the Chicago Blackhawks. That was a good-ass win because I hate the Blackhawks. And we played spoiler. The Hawks are in the middle of a playoff race. They needed 2 points on Friday night, and the Wings stopped that.
Yeah.
And they're far and away the worst team in hockey, so one win isn't going to hurt them. If the race was closer, maybe you can be like, all right, beating the Hawks is cool, but damn.
Yeah, but for the sake of the argument.
I know.
This is, in the sake of the argument, more of a Pistons topic.
Yeah, I know. I got you. I was about to segue into the Pistons.
Yeah.
In the Pistons case, Troy, the Pistons suck. They are absolutely awful. When they first traded Andre Drummond and bought out D Rose and Markieff Morris, we had a discussion on this.
Not D Rose.
Reggie, excuse me. Did I say D Rose?
Yeah.
When they bought out Reggie and Markieff Morris, we had a discussion on this pod. We said, like, kind of jokingly, but also seriously, how many games do you think the Pistons are going to win this season? I said 4. And since we said that, they've had 1 win. They've had 1 win since the trade deadline back
ago.
Yeah, like a month ago. Like, this team is not good. They have an awful schedule remaining throughout the rest of the season. They're not going to win very many games, and that's good. But I don't think 1 win is the end of the world. 2 in a row is like iffy, but 1 win, I don't hate 1 win, especially in the case of 1 win if a few things happen. First of all, if in the win Christian Wood balls out, that's good because Christian Wood's obviously part of our future.
Yeah.
If Sekou balls out, that would be really good. Saviana Sloth, if he balls out, that'd be really good.
Sorry about that. Not to go completely, off track here. What the hell are the Pistons doing sending Sekou down for like 20 minutes?
That was actually a smart move by them.
You think so?
Believe it or not. Yeah, because Sekou, he was struggling. He needed to go down to Grand Rapids just to get his confidence back. And he got his confidence back. Dropped 30 points in his first game back in Grand Rapids. They called him up and he had a good game last night. So.
Okay. I mean, if I was to send somebody down, I'd want them to, ball out consistently before you bring him
back
up.
the reason they sent him down is because the Pistons had such a long stretch off from Saturday night's game to the last time they played. So they sent Sekou and Dante Hall down to Grand Rapids to get some playing time, and then they come back up. That was the whole plan. I think that's going to be the plan going forward. If the Pistons have a stretch where they have like 3 days off, they're going to send them down to the G League to get some playing time in them.
I gotcha.
But anyway,
yeah.
If the Pistons get 1 win here and there, and it's because of the young guys balling out, I don't think that's a problem. But if they start getting crazy and winning like 2-3 in a row, then it's like, stop it. That's my opinion.
Here's my thoughts, and
already
I
know what's
was
coming.
right. We do disagree.
You were right. I told you we were going to disagree.
Oh, I thought you said we were gonna our thoughts aren't that far apart from each
No,
other.
before we started the show, we were talking about this tanking topic, and Troy's like, "I don't think I know your thoughts." I'm like, "Yes, you do. We're going to disagree."
I think that win takes them out of fourth place now.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
If they lose to the Knicks tonight, they are going to jump them and have like the 4th or 5th best odds.
True. But right now, they're in 6th place. If they were to have lost that game, they'd be in 4th place right now. And if you lose to the Knicks tonight, you push them even further away from you. If you lose to the Knicks, they still have an opportunity to just bounce right back into 4th place if you win again.
There's still so much season left.
There is so much.
I'm not going to get hurt over one win in March or February.
But it's like, if the season ends and the Pistons are 20-62 and the Knicks are 19-63, that was that 1 win difference. And
20-62 is so bad. Like I can't get mad at the Pistons for getting 1 win when they had 62 losses though. It's also a lottery. Like you have to remember that. If the Pistons jump in a lottery, none of this even matters.
True. But I mean, the Pistons at number 6 where they are right now have a 9.5% chance at the number 1 pick, when the Knicks in 4th place have a 14.5% chance. Or not, I think it's like 12.5 or something like that. But they have like a over 40% shot of being in the top 4, where the Pistons only have like 15 or 20.
I'll say.
So I think that 1 win in the grand scheme of things does make a big difference when you're talking 4-6, 5-7. And, being that the NBA race for the first pick is literally like just a couple games apart from 1-7, it is a big deal to win 1 game.
Well, you do have to remember the team isn't trying to tank. Like the players want to go out there and win.
No team I think is really trying to tank. I don't think even the Warriors are trying to tank. They wouldn't have put Steph Curry back in the game if that's the case.
No team is trying to tank. They're not going to lose on purpose. I've told you this before. They are going to go and win a few games. They're not going to lose out throughout the rest of the season. That's just not happening. I think learning to accept 1 win here and there isn't bad.
Yes.
Because again, if they win the lottery, or if they jump up in the lottery, I should say, we're not even going to remember this topic. It's going to be like, oh yeah, they still shot up to 2, and they're still going to get like whoever.
Even if they do shoot up, let's say the 4th pick gets the 1st pick, or the 4th seed gets the 1st pick, and the Pistons at 6 get the 2. You're going to be like, damn, if only we'd lost that 1 game, we'd have the 1st pick.
That's not at all what I'd be saying. I'd be like, yes, we got the 2nd pick. I would not be concerned.
I'd always have that in
I would
back
not
of
be
my
concerned
mind,
about that 1 win.
Okay, I mean, maybe that was just a bad example, but if the Pistons ended up with like the 4th pick, then, if they shot up to 4 from 6, and then 4 shot up to 1, you'd be thinking, well, shit. We could have had that number 1 pick.
I think you also have to remember, with regards to this year's NBA draft lottery, the Warriors are going to win some games here with Steph back. They already won one last night. They beat Philly.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves, I imagine, are going to win some games with D'Lo. The Cavs, we've already seen, are winning games.
Thanks to Andre.
Not even with Andre. He's been hurt.
Oh,
he got hurt.
He did win 1 game with him.
Yeah, but he got hurt, and they beat the Nuggets last night. So the Cavs are winning games. There's another team in that lottery that I think could get a little hot to close on the year.
And who's the last team?
Not Atlanta. Atlanta sucks.
Who's the one team that I'm thinking of?
Pull it up.
All right, keep talking.
No, but there are teams that are going to win games throughout the rest of the season. And the Pistons, they suck, as I mentioned. As long as they handle their business, and lose as much as they can, which they will, I think they'll be fine. Even if they get a couple nice wins here and there, I think they'll be fine. But as we speak, we are trying to pull up who this other lottery team is that we can't think of.
It is Atlanta, New York, Minnesota, Cleveland, and Golden State. So, yeah, those are the 5 teams ahead of the Pistons.
Oh, I thought it was...
So Atlanta was right.
I thought there was another team that I thought was going to win some games here.
There's Chicago above us, then followed by Charlotte and Washington.
Chicago, I think, is going to win a few games here.
Airplane mode.
Yeah, sorry.
I
had to turn it off.
The second you turned it off, I started hearing it.
Oh,
Sorry about the audio issues.
I
just needed the information.
I'll take blame for that because I asked him to look that up.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's over now.
It's all over. But yeah, I mean, I think the Pistons will be fine. I mean, you mentioned before there's like a range you want the Pistons to be in. What is that range?
4 to 6.
So they're right there.
They are right there. I mean, the higher up in that 4 to 6, the better.
Well, obviously.
Admittedly.
But I don't think one win hurts them. I really don't. I think they'll be fine in the long scheme of things. Because like I said, it's a ping pong ball lottery. Like if this was like baseball, the NFL, where it was just worst to first, then you can be like, damn, they probably should have lost that game.
And I'm not in the this is the end of the world. The Pistons will never get the number 1 pick because of this.
There are some people that think that way,
by
the way.
I think, it's still, I mean, they didn't move in the draft standing. It's not like they won and then shot back up to 9th place in the draft. They're still right where they were. It's just, they're by winning a game, they're scooping out more dirt in the hole that they might be digging themselves. I mean, whether the ping pong balls land where they do or not, it's just a matter of you want to give yourself the best shot no matter what.
And I think they are giving themselves the best shot because their starting 5 last night was Brandon Knight, Saviana Sloth, Tony Snell, Christian Wood, and John Henson.
I think isn't that just the best guys you can put on the floor at the moment?
That's their 5 best players. Yes. Like they're trying to the Pistons did everything they can at this point. Ed Stefanski traded Andre for scraps. The scraps are actually producing, but he traded Andre for what we thought was nothing. Bought out Reggie, bought out Markieff. I mean, Ed Stefanski did his job. They made it very clear they are playing for the future and for this draft pick.
If Brandon Knight and John Henson continue, would you want to see them on a minimum contract deal next year, maybe?
John Henson as a backup center I think would be really good. Brandon Knight is like a third point guard, kind of the Tim Frazier role that we saw earlier this season. I think, I'd be fine with that.
You'd be fine?
Brandon Knight's a Pistons legend, man. I don't know what it is. He always balls out with the Pistons. Like this man has 6 straight games scoring in double figures points-wise. And this is before the Knicks game, obviously.
Yeah.
So
they should. They need. The only thing that's missing is they need to slap that number 7 back on them. Whoever has number 7, I'm not sure. I'm drawing a blank.
I think it's Fawn.
Oh yeah, that's right. Fawn, get out of here. We need Brandon Knight back at 7.
Fawn. He's a restricted free agent, by the way. You ready to pay him?
I'd rather pay just Brandon Knight just so he can see the number back on his jersey.
Oh, Fawn. He had a nice stretch for a while there. Then he kind of came back down to earth.
What, his growth spurt? That's that nice
stretch?
No,
he was actually scoring he was getting doubles. Now, well, screw it.
Dude, I'm surprised Mr. Double Doubles Tom Gores wasn't all over him for that. He's getting doubles. We should pay him $30 million.
Well, he's not Andre, so I think there's a little.
I don't know if he's allegedly drunk enough. Maybe
we haven't
think so.
We haven't seen Tom Gores in a while.
Of course not. This team is awful.
We haven't seen him since the Andre trade.
He's probably sobbing in his $40 million home,
rocking the Cavs Drummond jersey.
Yeah, he's watching more Cavs games than Pistons games at this point.
That was big.
Andre, you're my man.
Chauncey. Oh,
where's
Lord.
Andre? He needs to be playing. I got to call up Dan. Get him back in this game.
Oh man.
Is there any little tiny news pieces you wanted to maybe go over? Or
There's nothing I can really think of.
No, nothing. Baseball. I mean, how about that home run? About that home run
Troy
derby.
really wants to talk about the Tigers.
I don't want to talk about them, but I feel like the time is coming where you got to.
I made Tiger jokes throughout the past few weeks on this podcast, and Troy was like, ugh. And now all of a sudden, he wants to talk some Tiger baseball.
It's just
very quickly.
It's just that feeling of baseball in the air.
I told you there's a feeling of baseball in the air.
And now I'm feeling it.
Oh, all right. Let's talk about it really quickly. Not a Tigers preview because we can save
we'll
that.
Get into that later.
Yeah.
But this whole home run derby they had against the Yankees the other day.
That might have been the most fun spring training game I ever watched. I was in school while it was happening. They just kept on going bonkers. Casey Mize looked good in his start. Miggy.
Two innings, 2 strikeouts.
Let's just talk about Miggy.
Okay, yeah, let's not go into Casey Mize.
Well, no, Miggy is a big storyline right now because he's looking good.
But I made the joke when Miggy had his first good game of the spring training. I was like, here he is, your 2016, 2017, and 2018 spring training MVP, Miguel Cabrera.
But he's still looking really slim though. Like every year, it kind of seems like people talk about Miggy losing weight, but this year he lost weight. Like
you could put him back at a freaking shortstop like he was in his rookie year.
I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that.
Left field.
No, keep him on the bench, please. DH, maybe a few games at first here and there, but I mean, spring training or not, taking Garrett Cole deep not once but twice gives you a little bit of hope that Miggy can turn this around.
If he ends up turning into a David Ortiz type guy for hopefully, a young and exciting Tigers team, that'd be really cool. But,
we'll talk about this whenever we preview the Tigers, maybe next week. But they have to be better than last year. They have to be
give
better.
Us some sort of thing to write or just to attach ourselves to, please. Christian Stewart is not enough.
Well, Christian Stewart's not even doing jack squat anyway.
Yeah,
I was talking.
No, I mean he's not like they tried to shuffle him in there as, hey, here's the guy of the future last year, and now
I thought he was going to be part of the future, but he hasn't done anything.
Exactly. So I mean, he's not enough. Give us somebody else, please. Give us some new blood that actually might be somebody.
Here's
please.
my dream for this Tigers team. I'm sick of getting the number 1 pick. I think this team has had enough number 1 picks.
Put him in the game now.
Well, no, that's not what I was saying. For their rebuild, I think having 2 number 1 picks they did their job. They've been bad enough.
You think those number 1 picks are good enough though? You think it's like a Carlos Correa,
Casey Mize,
Jose Altuve type?
Yeah. Casey Mize, yeah. If they draft Torque or the Vanderbilt shortstop at number 1, yeah, they'll be fine. But my point was, I think they've been bad long enough. If this season the Tigers can be one of those exciting teams from April to June where they're winning some fun games here and there, they're in the playoff race a little bit, you have conversations of, is this Tiger team for real or not? And then they just go off a cliff in July and they suck and get like a top 5 pick. That's my dream for this Tigers team.
So if they were 20 and 30 in June.
So look at the Texas Rangers last year. The Texas Rangers they went into the season in a rebuild and they were playing really good baseball up until July.
I remember that actually.
You do?
Hearing, some Texas Rangers excitement going around town.
That's what I'm saying. If they could be like the Rangers this year where they're fun to watch. Like last year, they sucked in May. You knew it was going to be bad when it was unwatchable in May.
Yeah.
But if they can be watchable until about July and then fall off a cliff after the trade deadline, then I'll be happy. That's my goal for this Tigers team.
Okay. See, I would love that, but I also look at the talent that's on this roster, top to bottom, all 90 guys. I still feel like they need maybe one or two top 3 picks to really flush this team out.
Maybe it's me being a Detroit sports fan. I'm just so sick and tired of losing.
I know.
All these teams blow. Every single one of them.
You disagree? You think this roster is ready to
No, I'm not
come on the upswing?
No,
of the
I'm not.
rebuild?
I'm not saying they're like ready to start competing soon. I'm just saying I hope they're more fun than last year.
No, but you think that the worst is behind us?
Yes, I hope. I hope. I pray that the worst is behind us. It cannot get worse than 47 and 114 or whatever they were.
I don't know. Ask 2003.
Oh, ay. I'd rather. Oh God, I don't want to see that again. Like the teams in this city blow.
They do.
And you don't know how bad I need Michigan State to make a run in the tournament. Like I just need something to get behind. I need something.
You know it's bad when a Michigan State basketball team is just okay. I mean, I'll say they're a little bit better than okay. I'll say they're good. But
thanks.
Yeah. I mean, come on. I'm not putting them in the upper echelon of basketball teams this year.
Well, they're playing well at the right time. I will say that. And if they can play their cards right, maybe they can find themselves as a 2C in the tournament.
But when your best team in all of Michigan is just a good Michigan State basketball team, then this is these are dire times.
We need our basketball teams to make runs in the tournament. We need the ping pong balls to go the right way.
I'm sorry, Juwan Howard's not going to help you out with that.
Well, I wasn't really talking about Michigan. I was just kind of
said our basketball teams. I'm like, ugh.
as in you and me. What do you have against Juwan Howard?
He ain't no John Beilein. That's what it is. I mean, that's John Beilein's whole. Like he was the reason why the Michigan doesn't have him anymore. But I'm still salty that Michigan couldn't sway him to stay in any way they could.
Well,
they're dropped to their knees and pleading for him to stay would be better than just saying, well,
I think you'll be different.
Sorry.
I think you'll be different on that next year when
when we just get to scream recruiting again. Like it's freaking Brady Hoke football.
Well, he is getting a couple 5-star guys in there, so that's something.
This is Michigan.
This is Michigan. All right. Just wait till Imoni Bates comes to Michigan State, though. Oh, baby. I will spew when that happens. But other than that, anything else you really want to kind of touch on?
No. I'm excited for next week, though, because we'll have some stuff to talk about.
Next week will be a good show. Like I said, free agency talk in the NFL and the Lions, obviously. We could do our Tiger preview next week, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good time to start.
Next Sunday, we will be recording before the Big Ten championship. So maybe
get a Big Ten championship preview.
Well, maybe not, because the game will be over by the time it's out.
That's true.
But maybe we can kind of, if Michigan or Michigan State is in the game, we can kind of touch on where they stand heading into the tournament. So maybe we could do a little college basketball talk.
That's always tough to kind of do. This will also be tough to plan out when like NFL starts rolling around again, because I mean we'll be doing this episode like mere hours before the Lions take the field, and so
we'll worry about that when the time comes.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, when you guys were like, let's start doing this Sunday mornings. I'm like, NFL time is not going to be grateful for us.
How you feeling about that, John? You're laughing back there.
I was like, oh God. We'll see.
That's so down the line. We're fine for
right
now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Monday nights might even be possible. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Monday nights.
Relax, Troy. You do what you got to do.
Troy, we got months to go. We'll be fine.
All right. Well, yeah.
Troy is not happy about that. Regardless, though, great episode today.
Yes, sir.
Again, I mentioned this already. I sound like a broken record, but again, thank you guys for the support on the first 10 episodes of Aggressively Speaking, and have a great rest of your beginning of your week, I should say.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care, guys.